The Iowa Hawkeyes finishing the 2023 NFL Draft with 4 players taken, and all 4 being taken in the top 3 rounds of the draft. A pretty historic weekend for the Iowa football program. We'll talk about implications and specifically Riley Moss's selection by the Denver Broncos in just a second. I want to give a shout out first to Randy Engel, his prints down in Mitchellville. Just because it's the off season doesn't mean Randy is any less busy producing these unbelievable Hawkeye prints. Check out the wide array, the wide selection of options, artwork from Randy Engel, original artwork of your favorite Hawkeyes, past and present, by visiting Under the Kitchen on Facebook. They've also got a new website. Their website is underthekitchen.square.site, underthekitchen.square.site. Check them out. Great way of supporting our content here from the Hawkeye of the Storm, so be sure to check out Randy Engel and Under the Kitchen today. So, Riley Moss drafted number 83 overall by the Denver Broncos. And I kind of alluded to this on the segment that was released yesterday. But as I go more and more years watching the NFL draft and watching Iowa football players being selected in the draft, you start to see a trend with certain franchises that like certain players, or I should say players from certain teams, certain programs. And I've seen that with Denver. You think about their relationship with Iowa and the fact that they took on Josie Jewell, they took on Michael Ojemudia. They've had other experiments. I think they had Sean Byer, Henry Krieger, Coble, a couple of tight ends on the roster for quite a while. You just see those trends with certain franchises. They liked Riley Moss and what he brings to the table. He ran just over a 4.5 at just over a 4.5 flat at the combine here recently in his 40 time. Really impressive stuff. And I know there's a stigma about white corners. Have not had a white cornerback in the NFL, a white starting cornerback in the NFL since Jason Sehorn in the early 2000s. And Riley Moss trying to break those barriers down. There have been some people that have projected him as more of a safety. I see him as a corner with that type of speed and his ability to catch the ball and make plays on the ball defensively. He's a ball hawk, and he's a typical Phil Parker defensive back. I thought he really improved his senior season. Yes, his interception numbers went down. He was thrown at less and less as the year went on. And as his career went on, that's a positive sign. He played early. He was a 2-star kid out of Ankeny initially. Riley Moss has got an opportunity, I think, to be a starting corner in this league. And again, what a draft class for the Hawkeyes. Three of the 4 players coming on defense. Of course, Sam Laporta, the one outlier at tight end. But Iowa has some depth issues, I think, at corner. They're looking in the transfer portal to possibly pad the numbers there at cornerback with Jamari Harris and then Cooper DeJean, of course. But nevertheless, happy for Riley Moss, and what a great story for an Iowa kid that was largely overlooked, was a great track athlete coming out of high school, but made his mark in the Big Ten Conference and proved me wrong, because honestly, a little over a year ago, I still thought, maybe he's a little bit overhyped. I even made the comment here early last season that I'd be surprised if Riley Moss got taken in the top 4 to 5 rounds. He ends up being a 3rd-round draft pick. Congratulations to Riley. Really good senior year and hard work paying off for a kid that could have left early last year, but I think he did himself a lot of good sticking around for an extra season. And that is the benefit of doing that at times. I know a lot of guys want to jump to the league early and make money, but I would imagine, without having the numbers in front of me, there's a big difference in the contract he would have had he been a 6th or 7th round draft pick, as opposed to staying an extra year, earning his way to a 3rd-round spot. My guess is, without really knowing their situation at cornerback, that he's going to have an opportunity to carve himself into a spot early. The fact they took him in the 3rd tells me they see a need there, and he'll have an opportunity to break down some barriers and be another story for Phil Parker's defensive backs and history there with Iowa football in the defensive backfield. So congratulations to Riley Moss. We'll continue to follow the transfer portal, everything that has throwing at us on a daily basis, more and more entries into the portal almost daily. I know Iowa's looking at a couple of different positions. We'll, of course, be live with Mark Rogers, the voice of college football, Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. Central Time. Join us live, myself and Mark Rogers, over at Iowa Football at the Voice of College Football on YouTube.